Persuasive speeches have the power to initiate change, commemorate history, and celebrate different cultures through selective manipulation of literary devices. It is important to analyse these persuasive speeches because of this power. An influential speech by Holocaust survivor Sabina Wolanski commemorates the murdered Jews of Europe and reminisces on her own traumatic experience during the event. Her use of linguistic techniques and appeal to emotion add power to her words, combined with the context to influence the intended audience. The context of a speech is very important, as it is a set of circumstances surrounding the event, influencing the meaning and effect the speech has on the intended audience. Sabina Wolanski presented a moving speech in Berlin at the opening of the memorial for the murdered Jews of Europe that told her story during World War II, where 6 of her family members were killed. This speech occurred 15 years after the reunification of Germany, in which Berlin was reinstated as the capital city. With the change in recognition Berlin had been receiving, the memorial was another momentous occasion for Berlin, with Wolanski capturing the essence and filling the hearts of many with sorrow but also forgiveness. As a recognised figure, Wolanski was able to captivate her audience with her triumphs and weaknesses from her Holocaust experience. Her quote from Elie Wiesel, "The children of the killers are not killers," embodied the purpose behind her speech, freeing those who felt guilty and leaving history behind them. Linguistic devices are language techniques used for emphasis in persuasive speeches to create movement in political, social, and warfare situations. They are used in persuasive speeches as they add underlying power and meaning to the simple spoken word and help move the intended audience to agree with the speaker's opinions. The main linguistic devices used in Sabina Wolanski's speech are the use of present tense and alliteration in her descriptions. Wolanski uses present tense in her referral to her experience during the killings in World War II, saying, "I am hanging desperately to my mother's hand, but I am brutally separated from her." Wolanski used this device to create a sense of immediacy about the situation, and in turn, making the events more alive. This positions the audience to be alert to the scene at hand and be able to imagine the same events occurring at the exact time. It persuades the audience to understand the weight of the events that occurred during World War II and helps establish the reality of what happened. Alliteration was also used in the description of traumatic events and how they affected her when she says, "despair, degradations, hunger, humiliations." The use of alliteration between each set of words positions the reader to be influenced as if she was checking off a list of experiences that should be on a wish list. Listing them one after the other implies that there are even more experiences to come, which adds weight to the effect World War II had on the victims. The use of a shorter word, followed by a longer, gives the same impression of a pattern and rhythm that is never-ending. Both of these literary devices position the audience to understand the events that Wolanski experienced and sympathise with her. This was achieved through careful use of alliteration in her description of the occurrences. She further related her audience members to adopt similar emotions. Emotional appeal is an important aspect of persuasive speeches, as it makes the audience support the seeker's argument and greatly influences the position that they take towards the scenario. Emotion evokes a deep connection from the audience with the speaker and the events of the time, as no person would wish the same fate to another, so it helps to centre and rally support for the speech's cause. Wolanski's speech for the commemoration of the murdered Jews of Europe evokes emotional appeal through its extensive use of emotive language in event descriptions. She describes her feelings. "I am a witness to the unbearable crimes committed against humanity," using dramatic emotional words to embed a sense of remorse and sympathy with the victims and events of World War II. Anaphora creates a similar sense to that of alliteration, however, by Wolanski repeating over and over, "I am, I am, I am," she is listing the amount of experiences she went through and positioning the audience to again sympathise and regret the events of the past. She follows this by using rhetorical questions listing why, almost seeking answers to the cruelty from the audience, but receiving nothing in response, which creates the sense of loss and remorse within the audience as the reality that they are unable to assist sets in. This helps to reinforce the meaning behind Wolanski's speech in creating remembrance, forgiveness, and honouring those that lost their lives in the events of World War II. Persuasive speeches are intended to create movement and are also used in political, social, and military endeavours to influence audiences. The purpose of Sabina Wolanski's speech for the opening of the Murdered Jews of Europe Memorial was to commemorate and remember those who lost their lives in World War II. Wolanski captivated the intended audience by using present tense to make the events of World War II seem alive, as they still are in the victims' lives, as well as emotive language, anaphora, and rhetorical questions to add weight to the torturous events the victims experienced. Her speech moved many audience members to tears with her careful use of literary manipulation and clever application of devices, contributing to the momentous occasion in Berlin's history.